today's video we have a Chelsea news video. It's a little late into the night, so I apologize for the late upload. I had college stuff to take care of, so wasn't able to do it today, but you know, we do have our Chelsea news today. Let's play the animation. But I say we get straight into it. There was something that kicked off today that was pretty important in terms of what the squad is going to look like next year, and that would be this. Joao Pedro to Chelsea. There was a here we go, but it was broken by David Ornstein. The exclusive is here. Excuse me. Chelsea reached an agreement with Brighton to sign Joao Pedro. The deal for the 23-year-old Brighton forward is in excess of £50 million. The fee will be shown later on. The personal terms are in place on a 7-year contract, and a medical is being arranged. The Brazilian international only wanted Chelsea and will join the FIFA Club World Cup squad. And then he adds the Athletic, which is what he's a part of. So yeah, Joao Pedro came through the door. I will talk about it once we get through all. This is Fabrizio saying, breaking Joao Pedro to Chelsea. This is the here we go. There's an agreement done club to club for a fee in excess of £50 million. Joao will travel on Tuesday for the medical test and contract signing ready for the FIFA Club World Cup, which was followed up by him saying that Joao's going to complete his medical in Brazil, then travel to America, obviously, for the Club World Cup. Contract is until 2032, which I just said. Travel on Tuesday, only wanted Chelsea despite the Newcastle effort. Confirmed, here we go. Ben Jacobs, this is the disclosed fee, or undisclosed fee now, I guess. Or no, undisclosed means hidden. Yeah, this is the disclosed fee. I apologize. Understand Chelsea are paying Brighton £55 million with a further £5 million in add-ons, and apparently there's a sell-on clause as well. I don't know how much percent of that. I'd probably guess 15, 20, somewhere around there, because Brighton was asking for 60 million. But yeah, 55 million plus 5 for Joao Pedro. And the last thing here, or no, second to last thing maybe. Enzo Maresca admires Joao Pedro because he can play across the front line. Obviously a versatile player. And then lastly, this is what I was talking about. Chelsea decided to pursue Pedro quickly for the Club World Cup. Pedro could be available to face Palmeiras. I do want to go back to this one, that Enzo Maresca admires the player because he can play across the front line. I agree. I think he can play on the left wing. He can play in the 10 spot. If Cole Palmer needs a rest, he can play for the lap in the striker spot, obviously. Saw him there for Brighton a couple times last season. Scored 20 goals the season prior to last. Obviously, a lot of his goals last season were penalty goals, but he's a good player nonetheless. Obviously, very quality. I did say yesterday I do like other options on the market. I still do like other options on the market. I'm still happy to bring him in though. You know, can't really complain if we're bringing in quality. Hidden and Gittens back-to-back days. I just think the money could have been allocated a little bit better in terms of who Joao Pedro is as a player. I think we could have got someone better, but you know, I'm not going to complain. This is very true. He is a very versatile player that can help us out in a lot of positions, be very important squad depth, but also a starter depending on the system we play, and I'll get to that later in the video. I know this is a news video, but I do want to show you all the ideas that I think the team has in mind when bringing in Joao Pedro. But yeah, he can play across the front line, but I think this fee right here is a little bit steep. Hopefully the add-ons are a little hard. Obviously it's only 5 million, but you know, with the amount of money we have at the club, I don't think it's the worst deal in the world. But yeah, I'm happy to see Joao Pedro come through the door. I definitely do think there are better options on the market. I'm not going to shy away from that stance. That was my stance in the last video. That's never going to change. I genuinely think a Morgan Rogers or a Xavi Simons would have been much better options. I know we haven't been really linked to Xavi Simons all that much. There's been little briefs here and there that were intrigued by the player. But I think Newcastle might go after him now. I saw a report of that today that Xavi Simons might be off to Newcastle. They're apparently interested after obviously Joao Pedro rejected them for Chelsea. Obviously, we're the only club he wanted to come to. I'm guessing it's probably an easy transition. Obviously, we take up the Brighton model to an extent with Wyn Stewart, and then Andre Santos, Esteval coming in, both Brazilian internationals, and then he's played alongside Cucurella and Caicedo in Brighton. So obviously some former teammates, some future teammates now, I guess, and then also some players that he plays with on the international level at Chelsea. So, you know, probably an easy transition from Brighton to Chelsea, and I think he could settle in very well. And I think one thing on this as well, the fact that we're backing Maresca, um, saying that he admires Joao Pedro. I think it's good that we're backing the manager. I know that he's asking for another goalkeeper, another center half, and then maybe a backup left back. So hopefully we address those. Obviously, I want Manyanka to come through the door. I think the perfect left back would be Hato, and I think the best center back that we're looking for might be like a Loic Bade, or I mean Brentwaite's price is too steep, so don't know what's gonna happen there. Gay, he's gonna go off to Crystal Palace, or he's at Crystal Palace. He's gonna go off to Liverpool, I believe. But um, yeah, I think the only one we're really intrigued in is Loic Bade. That I'd like to see come through the door. Obviously, Antonio Silva played amazing yesterday. If he came through the door, I'd be very happy with that. But in terms of Joao Pedro, he can play across the front line. Maresca wanted him. Maresca gets him through the door. I think that's very fair. If that's what he asked for and he got, then happy to see us back in the manager. Um, Obviously, he achieved his objectives last season in getting Champions League football, winning the Conference League, and he didn't just get Champions League football; he got top four, which is a bigger deal than I think most think. Um, and he has us in the quarterfinals of the Club World Cup, bringing in tons of money, and a really good chance to go to the semifinals if we beat Palmeiras on 4th of July, which is I believe Friday. So 5 days from now or so we play Palmeiras. Obviously, I hope the squad gets a little bit of a rest. I do think if Joao Pedro does, come through the door, that he might be able to feature, maybe not against Palmeiras, but maybe in the semifinals against the likes of a Man City or an Inter Milan. It really depends, but there's games that go on tomorrow that we have to see the results for. I don't know who from our side of the bracket are playing, if it is anyone from our side. I think it is. I could definitely be wrong, but I'll look at it on my phone and tell y'all right now. We have Inter Milan Fluminense at 2 p.m. and then we have Man City Al Hilal at 8, which I think will be actually a lot better of a game than many people anticipate. And I think Fluminense might cause an upset, to be honest. I think Fluminense and Man City might go through. And then the day after, we have Real Madrid playing Juve and then Dortmund playing Monterrey. So, there's time for Joao Pedro to come in and acclimate a little bit. Obviously, I don't think he's going to start a game in this Club World Cup. I just expect him to come off the bench and, just get some minutes as a Chelsea player, to be honest. But, yeah, I'm happy that he came through the door. Obviously, a very versatile piece. But I do think there are better options on the market, like a Morgan Rogers, who I'm going to talk about a lot just because I love the player. I think he would have been perfect for the system. Obviously, the new system that Maresca wants to run as well. I think he'd be perfect at. He can play the false nine. He can play the left wing. But, yeah, Pedro comes through the door. We had Gittens come through yesterday. And, yeah, he could be available to face Palmeiras. I don't know if he'd come on, but obviously needs to build up match fitness. But could be available is always a good sign, Never a bad thing to have some quality in the bench. But, I genuinely don't expect him to come on because we know Maresca doesn't like to put players who aren't acclimated to the tactical system, like an Andre Santos who hasn't acclimated yet. He hasn't came on. Don't expect Joao Pedro to play too much in this competition, if at all. But, I guess there's one last thing. Sorry, Ben Jacobs touched on it. Chelsea decided not to approach Brighton for Joao Pedro in May. Obviously, that's when Newcastle initially approached them, so it seems like we pulled out of that to begin with. But however, discussions were held in America in June and decided that Pedro's versatility and system fit would make him a strong addition. I think this was pretty much discussions with Maresca. This is what I was touching on with this right here as well. I do think it was a Maresca thing. I do think he pretty much asked for the profile of a Joao Pedro, and obviously Sam Jewell and all the Brighton lads probably just said, hey, this player's pretty much perfect for what we want to do in terms of his flexibility. Obviously, I still think there was better options, especially for that price tag. I think the price tag was a little bit steep, but, if Maresca asked for that, he got what he asked for, so, can't really be mad at that. He obviously wanted Chelsea accepting the vision and project. He's the only club we're the only club that he wanted. Got that away, pretty much rejected Newcastle, and then Chelsea really just initiated talks within the last 48 hours and got the deal done. It was pretty quick. I didn't see any reports when I was out in New York, in Philly, watching the Chelsea games. Obviously, when we played Tunis and Flamengo, I didn't see any reports of Joao Pedro. The first reports I saw were yesterday, in the video yesterday that I posted, which y'all seem to love. It had 700 views, so thank you so much for that. Probably my most viewed video ever, and probably will be for a little bit, but thank you so much for the support on that video. But yeah, that was the first time I really heard of Joao Pedro's name, and next thing we know, he's coming through the door. And this is when we know they'll be coming through the door. The documents will be completed for Joao Pedro as well as Jamie Gittens, not Jamie Gittens, Jamie Gittens tomorrow, and more signings will follow, which I thought was a little bit surprising. I don't know if it'll be attacking options, I don't know if it'll be defensive options, but we genuinely will touch that in this video in like the coming seconds. But yeah, they come in tomorrow. Obviously, I think Jamie Gittens, Jamie Gittens' medical is probably done, and then I expect Pedro's to be done in today or tomorrow. And then maybe Gittens trains with us. I know he's registered for Dortmund, but maybe they allow him to come train with us, and then I expect Joao Pedro to come train with us, obviously, because he's going to be part of our Club World Cup squad. But moving on, Ben Jacobs says that Chelsea are still discussing whether they need a forward on top of Pedro and Gittens, with Ekitike as a potential target. Whether they move on another forward may depend on if Nicholas Jackson departs or not. Basically, I think we want 3 strikers going into next season with the amount of competitions we have. Obviously, Pedro is going to be that false 9, versatile forward that we were looking at for the entire window. And then we have Delap as our main striker, obviously, and then Jackson as a backup, or Jackson as a starter, Delap as a backup, doesn't really matter. Whatever we want to put it is the way you're going to put it. But if Jackson leaves, Ekitike might come through the door, so we still have that 3-striker system. Or not system, but 3-striker rotation for the amount of competitions we have next season, which is 4. Probably going to play like 70 games, including the Club World Cup. It's probably like 75. So it's just absurd the amount of games these players are playing. But yeah, I would love to see Ekitike come through the door. I do think the 85 million is very steep as well. But at the end of the day, we are making tons of money. So if we do pay that, sometimes you just got to pay the fee to get the best player available in. I don't know if Ekitike really is the best player available, but he's very good, and he's on a very good trajectory as well. 20-goal season last season. As you can see in the bottom right, he was immense last season. Obviously very good in the Europa League, but also very good in the Bundesliga as well. Pretty much his breakout season. People are calling him Baby Isak. And I think if he even reaches the potential that he has, he's one of the best forwards in the world. So yeah, I would like to see him come through the door, but it really depends on Nicholas Jackson leaves, and I heard we're asking for around like 55 million for him. So it's questionable if he'll depart, because pretty much the only interest he is getting is from Italy, and I don't know if Italy's going to really pay that money. So Ekitike is a big question mark, but this is what I was touching on earlier about, I guess we can go back. Nope. Maybe this tweet? Yeah. With the eyeballs that more signings will follow. Fabrizio touched on it more. We need to keep an eye on Chelsea for one more potential attacking signing. I wouldn't be surprised if they add one more. They're looking at options, and let's see what happens with some potential outgoings. So I think this is basically the same tweet. It's basically, if Jackson or Madueke departs, then we're likely to add one more attacking signing. I think Ekitike is an option. I think probably Mohamed Kudus would be the other option. I know we're very interested in him. And we put in an offer for him last week. I think Simon Phillips or Simon Johnson. I can't remember which Simon it was, to be honest. I think it was Simon Phillips, though. It was in the video yesterday. Said that we did bid for the Here We Go for Gittens was yesterday. We did bid for Kudus with swap players as well as some money. So maybe that's the other attacking option, or maybe Ekitike is the other attacking option. But I think Nkuku, Jackson, if KDH counts as an attacking option because he's kind of an attacking mid, pretty much all have to go. Joao Felix all have to go in order for us to bring in another attacker. But yeah, hopefully we do, because I think we do need some more depth. But again, we just brought in 2 pretty good players. Obviously have a lot of games in their belt, pretty experienced for their age in comparison to a lot of others at that age. They're pretty experienced in that field, as well as Delap. So 3 attacking signings are 3 signings this season. Do kind of want us to address the back line a little bit, as well as the goalkeeper, which Maresca asked for. So I think there'll be developments there probably further into the summer transfer window, but for now we're looking at more attacking options, and seeing who we can let go of in the club. But moving on to the Club World Cup money that we got, it's absolutely absurd. As you can see on the left hand side, for entering we got from 20 to 29 million pounds. We won 2 group stage games. We got 3 million pounds. Qualifying for the round of round of 16, we got 5.8 million pounds, and then winning the round of 16, we get 10.1 million pounds. So I think that's pretty much why the fan base was going so crazy at that Benfica result, is because the amount of money we just brought in. So worst case, we brought in pretty much 39 million pounds, and best case scenario, we brought in 48 million pounds. And Ben Jacobs really put this into comparison. He said, Chelsea can effectively cover the Jamie Gittens or Joao Pedro fee with a win against Palmeiras. Around 40 million earned so far, plus 15 million if they qualify for the semifinals. So yeah, there's a ton of money in this competition to be won. And I think we're doing well to stay in it, and really battled yesterday to keep that money. And obviously progress into a pretty prestigious competition, which I know has been undermined, probably because it's in America, to be honest. All the weather delays, the terrible organization, I think makes it seem like less of a tournament than it actually is, but there's tons of big clubs. It's a pretty prestigious tournament. Obviously, with the amount of money in it involved, you pretty much want to win every game that you play, just so you rack up the most money. But yeah, we've earned a ton of money, so I think that's kind of why the board is saying, hey, maybe a Gittens for 55 or a Joao Pedro for 60 isn't the end of the world, because if you look at that, we have the money incoming literally from a competition, and then we're going to have more money incoming from our outgoing, so we're going to be able to cover these fees, as well as being 300 million plus in PSR, so pretty comfortable on the money side of things. And obviously this competition is really helping us just stay balanced in the books. I'm pretty sure the Gittens installments, Pedro installments mean that, you know, not everything is coming in all at once, so pretty much making a profit probably in terms of books for this year because of the Club World Cup, and how much money we really are receiving, because Gittens is probably like 25 up front, 25 the next, or like within the next course of the year, and then Pedro is probably something similar as well. I think we probably negotiated higher to get the installment structure we wanted, which pretty much means that, you know, the money in the Club World Cup that we've earned has pretty much covered the fees for this upcoming year, which is absolutely absurd, but, you know, happy that we continue to progress. But this is what I wanted to talk about. These are the potential lineups that the signing is bringing to us. Obviously Sanchez in goal, I hope that changes. We have our normal back four. I put Tossin. I really like Tossin as a player, had a crucial intervention yesterday. But this is with the Maresca 4-2-2 that he's been running a little bit recently. I think we can see Gittens on that left-hand side, obviously running here, cutting inside, shooting, and Joao Pedro playing that false 9 who can drop right here, as well as Palmer playing here in that free roam role where he can cut and shoot as well, and then the lap up top. I think it's an intriguing option because I do think Gittens is at his best when he has pretty much all the space in the world to run, and I think he would down this left wing. The lap, a lot of space to run, Pedro a lot of space to run, and I think Cole Palmer will have enough space to create as well, cutting in and shooting as well on that left foot, and Gittens cutting in and shooting on that right foot, and then Joao Pedro playing that second striker to the lap, who will mainly be our box dominant striker, but Joao Pedro can head the ball pretty well, so, you know, always a good thing. Another potential lineup that there is obviously if we run what we did yesterday with Caicedo and Lavia playing that pivot, and then I think they were flipped yesterday. I think Enzo was on the right hand side and then Palmer was on the left with Cucurella bobbing down, but it's pretty much the same thing, just no Gittens. Palmer would likely be over here, and then Joao Pedro still stuck at that second striker role. And the third option would be if you want to take the lap out the squad, and that's leave Joao Pedro up top, run the 4-2-3-1 that Maresca ran last season with Palmer in the middle creating, Gittens on the left-hand side, Neto on the right-hand side, and then Joao Pedro up top. Obviously, if you don't want Joao Pedro playing up top, you can just switch him out for the lap or switch him out for Jackson. But this is just lineups that I thought of that Maresca has been running as a reset to incorporate the new signings and see how they would fit within our system. I think Gittens can play there in a front three, but he could also play there with just a four-man front and everyone else behind them. I think they're more than capable, have enough quality, and Gittens definitely has enough athleticism to play there by himself. but I do think he could also play in this type of system. But yeah, that is everything for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. We did hit 50 subs yesterday, but then gained like 10 more subs, so thank y'all so much for the support. We had tons of views on the videos yesterday. I think everyone was just amped up after the Benfica result, and everyone was just searching up Chelsea's name probably. But you know, always good to see that there's a lot of support on this channel. Definitely makes me want to make more content. But yeah, thank y'all so much for the support. I genuinely can't thank y'all enough. But if you do like the videos, please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.